Today on Unity Motorsports Garage, we're going back to the basics. We're talking about tunnel rams. So pretty much since the beginning of my channel, one of the things that I've talked about has been tunnel rams on a consistent basis. And since we now have a TunnelRam Mafia shirt, I thought I would go back and revisit some of the things that I covered in those early videos. Even though they probably wasn't great videos, they did get a lot of views, but there's some things that I didn't put in the videos that I wish I would have. And so I guess this is my time to make it right, if you will. Here in North Carolina, man, it's cold. Right now we're probably in the 30s, which is warm considering we were down into the low teens last night. And but I wanted to come out here and do this and talk about the basics of getting a tunnel ram set up for street driving. The first thing we really need to talk about when putting tunnel ram carburetors on the street is having a tool that can be used to sync the carburetors together. When you have a tunnel ram set up with a 1-to-1 linkage, you're actually opening 4 barrels instead of 2 barrels on that particular application. Here's the deal. When that is like that, and you're at part throttle taking off from a stop sign or a red light or anything like that, if you didn't have the carbs in sync, it would be possible that the front carburetor and the back carburetor are actually working against each other. The front 4 cylinders are seeing a different amount of air-fuel mixture than the other carburetor is delivering. So it's imperative to have both carburetors synchronized, much like synchronized swimmers, so that the engine is balanced and you get the very best performance out of it. Now, the thing about it is, this is not going to really affect any kind of wide open throttle performance, but what it will do is make the combination much more enjoyable to drive around town and everywhere else. So how do we go about doing that, making this tool? That's where you enter Edelbrock Uni-Syn. Pretty cool device. It's actually meant for early 2-barrel style carburetors, even 1 barrels, and it has a floater valve in it which changes with the depression of the amount of airflow going through the valve itself. Think of this as a primitive mass airflow meter in today's vehicles. Okay, so what we're going to do today is I have to give a huge shout out to Jeff at 2 Hacks Garage for giving me these extra air hats for Dominators. And so I'm going to go into the process of making some synchrometers for tunnel rams. Like I said, any publication you see on Holley carburetors or intakes regarding tunnel rams, you never hear about syncing the carbs together. But in one of my Holley publications, it's like a parts list catalog, I'm going to insert a picture for you to see. They actually advertised a kit for this very thing. And what lets me know that they were using it on tunnel rams is it had 4150 hats, and you could get a Dominator hat along with a traditional 6-pack 2300 style carburetor. So, oh, this one here you might be asking. A good buddy of mine, Kent Hunter, that I work with, found this at a yard sale. And he knew that I was big into carburetors. And this is pretty much set up for like, I would say motorcycles or Webers or something to that effect. And the cool part about it is, it says it's made in West Germany. So that will tell you how old this is. But pretty much what's involved in making this setup is taking this here, increasing the size of that hole to that diameter, and you can do it with a hole saw, and this comes out to about 1.375, 1.4. It doesn't really matter. This is a kind of a foam base, and I'm going to attach that to make our meter. Here is the finished product, and as you can see, I opened the hole up, not with precision by any stretch of imagination. I just used a die grinder. Now, if you're the perfectionist, you can use a hole saw. Just make sure that you deburr the cap for any aluminum shavings that may still be on there, because you do not want that going in your engine. And I'm going to put the part numbers for the Edelbrock Uni-Syn in the bottom down here, along with the cap part numbers. And I've actually had tons of people asking me, why don't you manufacture these caps and sell them? Well, I'm not in the business of making tools, and this is actually so simple to do. You can do it in your home garage, shop, or whatever in a very little amount of time. So all it's left to do now is show you the operation of it and show you how I go about doing this. The first order of business is I'm going to crank Casper up, bring it up to temperature. Then I'm going to make sure that the secondary throttle blades are completely closed, just barely touching zero. And what that would do will allow me to adjust on the primary side. You've got to remember, you've got 8 butterflies, and so you've got to get the rear butterflies as close as you can to zero. The other thing to pay attention to is taking your throttle linkage loose, making sure that once you reapply the linkage back to the carburetors, that nothing has changed with the airflow. Keep that in mind. So let's get this thing fired up. It's going to be another cold start video. Whew. Perfectly cold. I mean, this thing is cold. Crank this thing up. Let it warm up. And then start making adjustments. Half pump, let it sit. It is a beautiful day though. Let's see what we have. I missed it. Once you have the carburetors adjusted, then it's a matter of taking the linkage loose here and getting it to where the bolt will actually line back up into the arms there. And then once you do that, I definitely recommend cranking the vehicle back up and double checking it. Anytime you take the carburetor off of a TunnelRam setup, two things. One, check for balancing of the carbs, because the least little bit of movement will change it. Second thing, always check for wide open throttle to make sure that the throttle doesn't stick. Don't be this guy. One time I did that, put it all back together thinking everything's good, go out and get on it and throttle stuck wide open. Not good. Luckily I was able to cut the truck off and get it all straightened out. So don't be this guy. I think this pretty much wraps it up. We're going to continue with the TunnelRam series, some other things that I may have forgotten over time to put in videos, and leave a comment. Let me know if you like it, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and all that good crazy stuff, and I will keep making videos. So until next time, this is Andy from Unity Motorsports Garage. I will catch you later.